January. After talking to her father, her mother, and other family members, officers began following up on information trying to find Jholie. Searches of various locations were conducted that day. She was entered into a national database, and a number of people were immediately interviewed. During the course of this investigation, we uncovered an unreported incident. That incident was a felony assault where Jholie was the victim. Upon developing the necessary probable cause, a petition charging a 17-year-old juvenile from the Alexandria area was obtained. On January 18th, that juvenile was taken into custody for that offense. He remains in custody. That individual, whose name is protected by law, given that he is a minor, is a person of interest regarding Jholie's death. The department's efforts towards resolving this case and bringing a measure of justice for Jholie and her family continues and will be relentless. Every resource necessary has been and will continue to be deployed. From the patrol officers who initially took the report to the many law enforcement partners and community members who have assisted us in the search for Jholie, our resolve for justice will not diminish. I'd like to ask Lieutenant James Bacon to provide a summary of efforts regarding this investigation, which you will note were not only being conducted in this area, but throughout a number of regions. Lieutenant James Bacon.
Thank you, sir. When Jholie was reported missing, thank you. When Jholie was reported missing on Saturday, she had already been gone for a day. She had left her home and seen on camera under circumstances that did not seem to be unusual. The family contacted us the following day when they realized and felt that Jholie's actions were no longer the norm for her. Our officers responded, took an initial report, and immediately entered her into the national database. They conducted a number of interviews and a number of searches of friends' homes and contacted friends and some local hangouts without success. But at that point still, nothing appeared to be of a nature where we felt she was truly in danger. There was no indication of an abduction or anything like that at that time. The next day, patrol officers continued that, and we continued to follow up any leads and all the information provided by the family. On Monday, that continued through the holiday. On Tuesday, we met with people from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children and the FBI. As we met with them and we discussed our various options, it was at that time with Jholie's literally falling off the electronic radar. No communication, no social media, no postings like that. In talking with the family, this clearly was now something that was beyond normal. At that point, we upgraded her status as an endangered missing juvenile, and our efforts continued. Our efforts continued every day through interviews, searches, web searches, search warrants, legal process through social media and such, and that continued up until the day that she was found, and continues beyond. I will tell you that on that Tuesday, when we spoke with the FBI and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, the number of leads that we had, both viable and leads that did not pan out, took us to places as far as Philadelphia, up and down the East Coast. We were in contact with the Old Dominion University Police, the Norfolk Police, the FBI in the Norfolk field office, the FBI in the Philadelphia field office. This case took a lot of turns with a lot of incoming information and a lot of leads to follow up, and continues to have just an enormous amount of leads. And we, The police department, homicide detectives are continuing to follow up just an enormous amount of information that has come in from the public and leads that we've developed.
Thank you. Let me finish off the remarks. Thank you, Lieutenant James Bacon. I ask our community members that if they have any information regarding this case, which we continue to investigate as a homicide, to please call and keep providing us with information. The report of autopsy in this case is still pending, and I don't have a timeline on receiving that report. In closing, let me reiterate that a person of interest has been developed in this case, and we will continue to investigate every lead that's brought forth to us. Thank you. I'll take the questions.
Major, there's a story.
One minute. One minute. Go ahead.
Let me ask you, your department often puts out warnings about dangers on social media, predators on social media. From my reporting, there seemed to be evidence that there might have been a predator who was luring her on social media, on Snapchat specifically. So what I wonder is, isn't that a sign of possible danger from the start, and something that your officers, I believe, were told on Saturday?
Yeah. Again, I'm not going to get into the details of the case and what's told and what's not told. This is still a very fluid investigation, but I can tell you that we have been concerned from the onset that this missing juvenile was reported to us on the 13th of January. We remain concerned all throughout. The resources that came, and you've seen, but an example, we've tried to investigate, or we have followed up on every lead that's been given to us regarding the leads that are coming in to us. That's the best information that we had at that moment. The question is, why was she listed as a runaway? That is the best information that we had at the time. On that 13th of January, we go by the information, the best information that we have at the time. Had circumstances shown us differently, we would have done what we did, on subsequent days as well. But we have certain standards to make certain criteria. We've got to meet certain criteria. That's not to say that we were not concerned for Jholie. We interviewed an awful lot of people, and we will continue to. We will continue to interview people until we bring justice in this case.
Major,
yes, sir.
The 17-year-old who's a person of interest, there's a story out there that he had a prior romantic relationship with her and that there was a stay-away order filed against him. Is that accurate?
Again, the question is is there accurate information regarding the 17-year-old and prior legal proceedings that may or may not exist against that individual? I am prohibited by law to go into any aspects of trying to identify, or that would lead to the identification of a juvenile. For that reason, I'm not able to comment on what is or what is not out there. I can tell you with a degree of comfort that we've got a person of interest who's a 17-year-old who remains in custody here in Fairfax County.
When was he arrested? What day was he arrested?
He's been charged with that previous incident, the felony assault. The question is, what was the 17-year-old being charged with? What is he currently charged with? He is being charged with at this juncture with a petition charging him with felony assault.
Not charged directly in connection to her death at this time.
Yeah, let me clarify that and reiterate. The question is, so he is not charged with her death at this juncture. That is correct. He is not charged with her death. With her death.
The 17-year-old was out of jail.
Yeah. 1 minute. Let me, ma'am.
Well, just to get back to that, so this is a prior felony assault, just to make sure we're clear.
The question is, seeking clarity, was it a prior felony charge? Yes. It was a prior incident that was discovered during the course of this investigation that had been unreported, as I stated.
And respectfully, if you
Yes,
want
ma'am.
to know about, why was it an Amber Alert issue? Can you tell us?
Certainly. As you members of the media may or may not know, there are certain requirements and thresholds that must be met in order for an Amber Alert to occur. One of those requirements is, in fact, that there is an abduction element that there's an abduction, that we conduct an investigation, and that we can definitively say that during the course of our investigation that an abduction occurred. Okay?
What day was he arrested?
On the 18th. The question is, what day was he arrested? It was on the 18th. Maybe somebody who has an answer.
Are you able to go into detail about what the felony assault involved or on the 18th? And then secondly, are you able to release the cause of death now that we were able to positively identify?
Okay. Two questions. Am I able to go into details regarding the previous incident? Am I able to then release the cause of death? I'm not able to go into the details regarding the pending probable cause charge that's there for which he's been taken into custody, and I don't have a report of autopsy to be able to articulate what the cause and manner of death is at this point. Still waiting on that.
The felony assault charge, when was that assault? When was the assault that the 17-year-old was in jail? When was the assault?
It was the question is, when was that assault? When did that assault occur? I won't be able to go into the details of it other than to say that on the 18th he was taken into custody as we uncovered that incident during the course of this investigation.
Wasn't he already charged with that assault prior?
The question is, wasn't he already previously assaulted with that charge prior? No, ma'am. Next question.
Did it happen after Jholie went missing?
No, the best information that I have is no, that incident did not occur. It's for a previous incident. Remember, I said that the operative word there in my statement was for a previous unreported incident, but not during the time frame that Jholie turned up missing.
What led you to search the park where her body was found? Because you searched it twice.
Leads that were developed. The question is, what led us to search the park where the body was found? Because we searched it twice. Leads that were developed during the course of the investigation is what took us to the parks. And for the sake of maintaining the integrity of the criminal investigation that's still ongoing, I won't be able to expand further on that.
Do you know why her body was not found the first time your officer searched there?
The question is, do we know why the body wasn't found when the officers searched there the first time? I don't know. Yeah. I certainly don't know why the body was not located. There's a number of variables I'm sure that you can think of that come into play, as to why or why not the body was not located the first time. Yes, ma'am.
The young man who let another person use his phone at the basketball court, do we know who that person was, and could that be the 17-year-old?
Yeah. Again, I'm not able to give any information that's prohibited by law. The question is that there's reports out there, not by the police department, but by some of you who are reporting, that there's an individual out there.
Use a 13-year-old boy's cell phone.
Correct.
At that park.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to go further into detail regarding that. It's very fluid and active investigation on this matter. But again, we do have a person of interest as it relates to the death of Jholie. And I want to maintain this investigation going forward. So when we come to a resolution, and then I'm hopefully able to stand before you and say that an arrest has been made, that we don't jeopardize any aspect of this investigation and do bring a measure of justice for Jholie and her family.
Major, if
In
you,
the back, yes, sir.
When do you believe Jholie was killed?
The question is, when do I believe that Jholie was killed? I won't be able to that would be a guess, a best guess at this juncture, and won't do that. I won't guess. I'm going to let the science speak for itself. I'm going to let the medical examiner, the report of autopsy, do all of that.
Major,
Sir.
if this is a person of interest and you can't talk about the person of interest because this person is a juvenile, what's the purpose of coming to us with this information?
To inform the public and to inform you all. This is the first, maybe the second press conference that we've had on it. I think this first one was upon the discovery of Jholie's remains at the park. To be transparent, to ensure that the public knows that we have taken this case extremely serious from the onset. There's a lot that still is going on that, again, for the sake of maintaining the integrity of this investigation, I'm not able to divulge to the public because we do want to bring justice in this case. But that's the purpose of it, Mr. Wagner, to ensure that the public is as informed as possible without jeopardizing the case.
So one more question?
One more question.
I have a
Peggy.
question. If it turns out that your person of interest is not the person who committed the murder, are you continuing to look for leads and track down some other leads that might come up?
Absolutely. The question is, if it turns out that the person of interest is not the person that we're looking for, will we continue to investigate other leads? Absolutely. And sometimes that's the way homicide investigations go. Having done them for approximately 10 years in this county, it could very well be that it takes 7 days, 7 hours, or 7 years to resolve a case. But we will. Yeah.
So about that
Quick question.
that was apparently on the flyer, the missing flyer, family members say there was a text message that was one of the last forms of communication that was sent from Jolie's phone that said she was heading to a party in Norwood. Are you able to confirm that she actually sent that text message? Do we believe that she's the one who sent the text message saying she was heading to this party?
Yeah. So the question is relevant to a text message that family members have said that was out there. I'm not going to be able to confirm, though I know the answer to your question. I'm going to have to maintain the integrity of this investigation and allow those facts to speak whenever we get to a court or a proceeding in this matter. Again, there's a lot that I wish I could impart to you all in the public. My first responsibility is for justice for Jholie, and I won't compromise that for effect.
About the whole terming, calling her a runaway from the start, and then you said you took it seriously from the start, but she wasn't a runaway, and she was found dead less than a mile from her home. Do you wish you had handled this differently, perhaps from the start?
Okay. The question is that that she was entered as a juvenile. I can tell you that we took it seriously from the very beginning with a number of interviews that were done, with the information that was provided to us. If you're asking me, do I wish we would have had a different result here as opposed to talking to Jolie's death? Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, the facts that are given to us, they're not controlled by us. They're given to us by the community and family members. You know, it's what drives our investigation. We will continue to do that.
Her family members never thought she was a runaway. None of her family thought she was a runaway.
Yeah. Again, if you're asking me, do I wish for an absolutely different result and have reunited Jholie with her family alive? The answer is absolutely yes. Absent that, I have a duty, and we as a police department have a duty to bring justice. In this case, we won't waver from that.